I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Legal Affairs Committee. Present here for the committee tonight are Councilors Melville, Councilors O'Neill, Councilors Gould, and myself as chair. We have one item on the agenda, which is the Tannery 1, 18 Crown and Shield Street regarding the dam transfer agreement, deed, and easement. Here for the city tonight is the city solicitor, Attorney Smozinski. Mr. Smozinski, if you could just explain to the committee the matter before us. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, councilors, the mayor asked me to present tonight, and I'll be brief. This is one of the most exciting projects for the downtown area. It involves wind companies, a very substantial residential management and ownership concern, acquiring the entire Tannery complex. And for simplicity purposes, I just want you to envision the entire transaction into two different parts. The first part is the separation of the buildings and grounds from the dam complex, which has been accomplished by a variance and a recorded plan at the planning board. And that particular transaction involves about $65 million in cost, which is inclusive of a $35 million acquisition price. I can tell you that the law department is on weekly conference calls with almost 30 representatives putting the documents together on that transaction, and our email total now is about 6,000 pages that are involved. That there's 5 separate loans, including monies that are coming from the city to facilitate that acquisition, the keynote of which is they're going to maintain the affordability of their units for our 40B stock, which is incredibly important. Number two, the other parcel that has been segregated off is referred to as the dam parcel. Yes, there's a body of water. It had been juxtaposed next to the old municipal light plant for years, and it is serviced by a dam and a sluice spray and waterways. And the prospect of acquiring ownership and control of it was an incredibly high priority of Bob Labossiere, Bob Langley, Will Paulitz down at Public Services, because it factors significantly into our stormwater management for the downtown area, which again is a big priority. With the input from Public Services, the wind companies, were more than happy not only to segregate the parcel off, but also to provide us, with a transfer in fee, a deed for the parcel, and to provide adequate easement areas for service and repair in perpetuity, all laid out, by the way, on the plan that I referenced that's in existence, and that would be Exhibit A to the documents that have been referenced, the dam transfer agreement plus the deed and the actual easement itself. The issue is very important because dams are inspected, registered, and permitted by the Office of Dam Safety, and when, through an affiliate corporation that's going to take title to the policy, has also agreed that it's going to repair and have inspected and permit the register the dam prior to its transfer to the city of Peabody. If the mayor was here, and I think he's coming at some point, he'll just say this is just a wonderful thing for the city of Peabody. So what I'm asking on behalf of the administration is for a favorable action to approve a motion authorizing the city to receive these grants, both the deed and the easement, and to authorize the mayor to execute any documents that are necessary to consummate this entire transaction.
Thank you, Attorney Smozinski. The clerk just distributed a plan, which is Councilor Melville. Can I get a motion to approve a late communication, which is
So moved.
Yeah, this is Exhibit A to the dam transfer agreement. You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. This is the plan that Attorney Smozinski described just a moment ago. Members of the committee. Council Melville.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So I think Attorney Smozinski gave a pretty good summary, but I just wanted to confirm a few points for myself, and just that came up when we got this there's no upfront cost to the city for this transaction. There's no, we're going to take this over on behalf of Wynn for any sort of fee or anything like that.
The consideration on the deed is, it's actually been changed to $10 and, in inflation, but credit where credit is due. No one is more conversant in these types of things than Dan Doucette. And I'll tell you, it was Dan that really beat his own chest saying, listen, if we can get a deal where they're going to fix it, they're going to register it, and then transfer it with an operations and maintenance manual that's to be created, then that is a great deal for the city of Peabody. It doesn't eliminate ongoing prospective costs, but, we get the new car coming off the lot, at the time of transfer.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So yeah, you basically touched. So obviously, this is something the city wants. The Wynn company didn't come to us and say we're not going to do this deal. The city has actively pursued this for some time for flood mitigation.
I can tell you two things. When the prospect of Wynn acquiring, the Tannery Complex came up, there was no question that the DPS people had their ears in a position of saying, can we get the dam? And that's because of ongoing engineering upstream that is, works in progress. And this would dovetail nicely into their overall management of the water that's being, provided downstream to the North River and out to the ocean through the square. But in all fairness, it's my understanding that it was almost simultaneous that Wynn came up with that same offer as an extension of the olive branch. So there was reciprocity there of some sort.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So essentially, I'll just summarize, just so I'm clear on this. So if anybody ever asks me, or anybody on this committee is asked, when we have our regular meeting, the deal is we're going to get, the Wynn is going to register this dam. They're going to do all the capital improvements, so it's going to significantly upgrade that particular aspect of our flood mitigation for that area, and then it's going to come to the city for overall access and maintenance going forward as we move forward with any storms that would be ready to clear those. Is that correct?
Plus, we get the manual from their engineers on how to maintain it and keep it up to snuff going forward.
So, okay, from my perspective, I think this makes complete sense. It seems like a win-win for everybody involved. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mike, for the summary. And I can't add anything that Councilor Melville didn't ask, and I just want to say I fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike, I don't know if you're the right one to answer, or maybe the Wynn folks. How badly is the dam in disrepair? And what's the estimate to get it fixed?
So the reason why this transaction is divided into two pieces, the latter of which has to do with the deeding of the dam parcel to the city, involves a time delay. There's time that's needed for the engineers to create the estimate and the repair work, and that what it will take, to bring it up to the specifications of Office of Dam Safety. And that's why they're transferring it to another corporate entity. You'll see that it's TL, in the documents. and that's how it's designated, so that that entity will be the holder of the parcel until such time that it is ready, finished, paid for, registered to be deeded to us. And Tom, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No, yeah.
it also means that at least Wen can go forward with the acquisition of the rest of the tannery complex and all the apartments at its June 6th, 7th, whatever that Friday is, they're closing, and that's a hard deadline.
Thank you. I have to tell you, this is my 4th meeting with you folks, and fellas, you've been nothing but upfront and professional in the way you've communicated with us as the subcommittee of the CPC. We were thrilled that we were able to move forward and help financially to keep the 40B numbers the affordable housing numbers where they were, excuse me. So accolades and hats off to everything you've done. I know you've worked hard on it, but it's a major component for our housing in downtown, and I'm very thrilled that you were able to help us. So thank you so much, and whatever we can do moving forward, we're here for you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. With respect to the work that's been described, there is a placeholder in the dam transfer agreement, Exhibit B, and Attorney Smozinski, that remains a work in progress, is that?
Yes, and that's why the motion is fashioned the way it is in the mayor's letter that authorizes him to sign any and all necessary documents to consummate the deal. There are some documents to be created, and we expect them to be created before you vote on it next week.
Thank you. As has been indicated by other members of the committee, I am also supportive of this action by the city. I think I was present in a discussion with Director Labassiere, the DPS, when he had indicated how valuable it would be to have ready access to this dam in advance of storm situations, so that the city could take action proactively and relieve water to create upstream storage when necessary, when it makes sense. So he was consistent with the comments of the city solicitor, quite eager to advance this, and I can see where it makes tremendous sense. This is an area where we have absolutely had legacy flooding issues in the vicinity of this dam. I've seen it multiple times, even when they're not major events. So I'm very happy that the city will be able to get in there and do some things in advance of storms to mitigate those circumstances. With that, I will accept a motion to authorize the city to accept the dam parcel as defined in the dam transfer agreement and easements as defined in the easement document, and to authorize the mayor to execute all documents necessary to complete the grants. Can I have
So moved.
Heard the motion from Councilor Gould. Roll call.
Councilors Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes,
Motion carries 4-0.
I'll take a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.